There's a recent report from a Chinese investment firm, Tianfeng Securities, that Tesla might partner with two large Chinese automakers for FSD and Robotaxi. According to the report, Tesla has held 2 rounds of negotiations with state-owned SAIC and has held talks with Geely. Last month, the rumors were that Stellantis executives were at the We Robot event, and they were thought to be in the running. So who might be the first to partner, and what form might this partnership look like? I got Larry Goldberg with us today, and he's done a deep dive on partnerships and licensing, even at one point calling Tesla a 0.5 partner. And so we'd love to see if this is, how this is going to shake out. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thanks for having me here, Herbert.
So I don't know if you saw this news, but and it's not news, it's rumor. But this person just reporting that they saw in the Chinese news, apparently this company, an investment institution firm, Tianfeng Securities, they're saying that Tesla may cooperate with Chinese OEMs on FSD and Robotaxi in the Chinese market. Tesla has held 2 rounds of negotiations with SAIC and has held talks with Geely. I'll share more information about these 2 companies, but just right off the bat, how much credence do you give to this?
That's a tough question for an outsider who's never really had a lot of activity in China. It makes a lot of sense, and because it makes so much sense, it could be that this has a lot of credibility to it. But we know that Tesla is going to end up having to partner with FSD. The demand is just going to be too large for Tesla to manufacture sufficient vehicles for it. And the other issue is China would never let them be, the sole vendor of true autonomy. So I think that it makes sense that they get out in front, Tesla gets out in front of this and works hard to partner with Chinese firms. And I think Chinese firms would do very well to partner early with Tesla. It's been fantastic for Tesla's partners to date in China. And this would be an ideal time for firms like the ones you mentioned, Geely in particular, but certainly, SAIs. Think about it this way. General Motors is a major partner of SAIC. So this just is our playbook. We've been talking about this, you and I have been talking about this for a year. And so it's what we expected. It's good to see it happening. It would be nice to get an official confirmation soon.
Yeah. I do feel like this is a rumor, but there's a high chance that this could be true. So first of all, it's a securities firm, right? An investment securities firm that's talking about this. A little bit more credence that it might be not just, some random thought. To these 2 companies, they named them, and they're pretty large. They fit the mold, the bill of what Tesla, Elon said before, which we need to have partners that have at least 1 million cars. And it's China, right? We know that that they're going full forward with full self-driving Robotaxi. So let's take a look more about who these companies are. This is SAIC Motor, right? And Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation. It's actually a Chinese state-owned auto manufacturer, but they are the largest. They're one of the big 4 Chinese automakers. The other 3 are Chang'an, FAW Group, Dongfeng. The largest production volume of any Chinese automaker in 2012 of 4.5 million units. And in 2025 or 2014, this year, it's going to be over 5 million. 76% are passenger vehicles. And I don't know exactly what their makeup of in terms of electric vehicles, but it says here that, they do have a target of 3.5 million new energy vehicles by 2025. I don't know the breakout of how much is actually battery electric vehicles from that, but they're clearly, is aggressively expanding its electric vehicle production. They've got plans for 14 new intelligent EV models outside China by 2025. And their NEV sales for 1 month, October, is 161,000. So that's over 1 million, per year. Sounds like they're right in line with, what we're expecting. So this is an example of one of their cars, the SAIC ROEW or something R7, I guess is the way to call it. What's your thoughts on that, Larry?
Well, they're so SAIC firstly are partners with GM in China. or that was the major entry point for GM in China. That partnership is not doing that well at the moment, but I think they were responsible for the Wuling Mini, the very small little electric car that was doing so well for a while in China at the outset. Not doing that well anymore, but they were. And so SAIC is, state-owned, so it's pretty high guarantee that they'll end up, with a fair volume, whatever they do. But they would be very well advised to partner with Tesla in FSD. So it makes a lot of sense. And when things make sense, then, 9 times out of 10, they're going to happen. So I'm very comfortable that this news is probably correct. And so, it looks good. And by the way, this could be a backdoor for GM to partner with Tesla as well.
Interesting. Okay, the next potential partner. So first of all, there's SAIC, there's Geely, and there's Stellantis. Stellantis was rumored that they were at the We Robot event. The executives were there. Which of those three, if there was one of those three choices, would you think is the most likely?
I think all three are likely. I mean, all three are really excellent candidates. Stellantis, I don't think, has the resources to start building autonomy now. They need a third-party vendor. And right now, the autonomous vendors, third-party vendors, are not anywhere near where Tesla is. They're really, assistive driving for freeway. It doesn't rank at the autonomous level. So it's highly likely, in my judgment, that Stellantis will reach out to Tesla, or have reached out to Tesla, having conversations. Geely is a really good candidate as well. Geely, the parent company of Volvo and Polestar, they've had some tough times with, the sort of dip that there's been in EV sales. They really have felt it more than almost every other manufacturer. Polestar is a brand they decided to start pure EVs. They didn't use the Volvo brand. I think they must reckon that to have been an error at this point. But nonetheless, I mean, again, that would be an ideal positioning for Geely in those two brands. So these are promising deals. SAIC, Geely, Stellantis, all promising brands to partner with Tesla.
Let's look a little bit more about who Geely is, right? So as you said, they are a global automotive group, several well-known brands. You got Geely Auto, Zeekr, which is one of the highest, I think they're a high premium car company that competes with the Model Y. I think they're the only company that competes with the Model Y in China. Link, Geometry, Volvo. They bought Volvo. They have Polestar, London Electric Vehicle Company, Proton. They also own the brand of Lotus, Terrafugia. So 40 manufacturing plants, they're big. 9 R&D centers, 9 design centers across all these different continents, 120,000 people. So it looks pretty good. Largest shareholder in Volvo and Daimler. So this looks like a great car. Looks awesome. Good photos. Nearly doubled their profits according to this as of November 14th, which is just today. And let's play a little bit of some videos. Here is, what their factories look like. I mean, they look, obviously this is, PR, but this is not, you got to take a look and see this. This is not some, rinky-dink kind of operation. This is as good as you can get. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. So yeah, automotive. Here is kind of a little bit more what they've accomplished. And then I think this is a video of their cars. Yeah. What do you know about Geely?
Well, some of those brands are struggling. So while they may be doing fair volumes in China, I think some of those brands are struggling in Europe. Europe is not really a flourishing auto market right now. And I do know that Volvo and Polestar in particular are struggling. Lotus is struggling. So, they've been very brand hungry. They've acquired a lot of brands. Zeekr is a new brand. Time will tell. They're a legitimate partner for Tesla because they, have so many fingers and so many pies. And I think the amount of money, the amount of capital that it would take to develop an FSD solution or autonomous solution would be very significant. So it makes a whole lot of sense that they would reach out to partner with Tesla.
Okay. So these are the two companies, and then how it's interesting that actually, the report said that they already had 2 negotiations with SAIC, and they're in discussions with Geely. But just this idea that there's actually numbers attached to that too doesn't, unless it was absolutely made up. But it sounds a little bit more like they're in the running and they're moving fast. They're moving closer.
Yeah, look, I'm always skeptical of these rumors that come out of China. We've heard there's so many different rumors come and go, but these just make sound, solid sense. And the companies that they're rumored to be talking to also make a lot of sense. So we'll see. It wouldn't amaze me to hear that both companies or either company are dealing with more than one potential vendor, because
right,
it's just the nature, and they have between them so many different brands. So it'd be very interesting. The really interesting question is, what is BYD doing? Because
right,
these guys all talk about their great game, but BYD is killing it right now. They're killing it. So the question is, what is BYD doing?
Okay. So let's revisit this. You did a deep dive on partnerships with Tesla.
Yeah.
And I want to revisit this because this is a fantastic analysis that you did about a year ago. And, this is the fun part, is you did this a year ago and you're predicting this is going to happen and you explain why it's going to happen. And now we're starting to be closer. So you think that there's a new business model, but beyond just Tesla being an auto manufacturer, they're going to become a supplier to other auto companies. And you actually called it a tier 0.5, not just a tier 1 supplier.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what this is all about?
Yeah. What do we mean by tier 1? And I didn't coin the phrase tier 0.5.
Oh, you didn't?
So tier 0.5, the notion is that it's more than just a supplier. It's somebody who will help design and engineer the vehicle to support the functionality of the vehicle. And the key to the 0.5 supplier positioning of Tesla is the notion of Tesla being able to support the design of the end-to-end electrical system, to support the implementation, of the 50-volt battery and 50-volt electrical system of the car, and the integration of the processor and the computer, to integrate all of this and to integrate autonomy into the car. And so to do that, you have to rethink the engineering of the car as a whole. You have to rethink all the componentry, the electrical componentry of the car, and you have to rethink the software of the car, because you no longer have 50 different subsystems, all controlled by their own software provided by different vendors. You have one piece of software controlling the whole car, and you really rely upon that capability, not just the software capability, but also the compute capability. And that's why we get to this notion of this 0.5 tier supplier. So, Tesla has it all. And Tesla has already said, look, we are getting some subcontractors to provide some of these components that we've used in the Cybertruck and will be using in the Cybercab to implement this, 50-volt system, and to implement this single bus system in the car. I don't want to go into the technicalities of it, but it is truly revolutionary. And so we will supply all of the engineering, all of the technical capability, and we will also give you a connection to our suppliers as well. And that way we become kind of a 0.5, a tier 0.5 supplier to you, and we will provide it to you. And so, Elon has a long history of open patents, of opening his patents, and here he's also opening, the whole design capability and providing not only this unique 50-volt electrical power system, but also the single bus and also the FSD, and it comes as a package. So it's an ideal situation for an OEM to avoid, the 15 to 20 million to $15 billion investment that, say, Volkswagen tried to make and blew without getting any results from it. Think about Volkswagen for a moment. All that money they wasted, all those employees that they hired, all that time they wasted, 5 years of it, and they produced nothing. So really, I mean, you look at return on assets, this is such a great slide. I mean, you have to be a Ferrari to compete with Tesla to get that kind of return on your assets. And so that speaks to the opportunity that these companies have got in terms of working with Tesla to earn that kind of technology and capability without having to pay the time or the extent of the risk to produce that technology for themselves. So, here we have the OEM and the multiple tiers, and I suspect that there's going to be, between tier one and OEM that we see in this standard sort of concept of tiers, we'll have a tier 0.5, and at the moment it'll be a single supplier, and there'll only be 1.5 tier guy. And this is a concept invented by Elm Analytics.
It was Elm. Okay. And you're saying that it's not just software. This is beyond FSD even. You're suggesting maybe in the 48 volt as an example of one, right? Maybe even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, the 48 volt is not just a difference in power or energy or voltage. It's a comprehensive set of capabilities. And so it's, the single bus Ethernet system, so that you don't have these multiple different CAN buses. It's the 50 volt or 48 volt power supply to reduce the amount of copper. It's all the steer by wire capability, all of the above integrated as a single capability. And that's the idea of this tier 0.5 fitting between, the OEM supplier and the OEM suppliers and the OEM itself.
Because everything is software controlled. So not only the tech, this is the digital tech. You got the batteries, you got the autonomous specialists, you got the digital integrator. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
you're expecting
they have it all, and they're years ahead of the rest of the market. I mean, my Cybertruck, which has taken me down to Boca Chica to see a rocket land autonomously, it's taken me down to Boca Chica autonomously. How can you get better technology than that? Where do you get better technology than that? I mean, it goes without.
I think this slide is warning. It's a saying that a lot of these auto suppliers, they're gonna. A lot of them don't have the operating margin at this point to survive.
Yeah,
a lot of them might die anyways, and so then these OEMs will need to find somebody to, it's like they're all ready to just crash. We've seen quite
a few bankruptcies since this slide was prepared. We've seen quite a few bankruptcies amongst these OEMs, and auto manufacturers have had to scramble.
Mm-hmm. So of all the auto suppliers, and then based on that previous slide that we showed, there's actually quite a bit of them, right? Like you're going like there's 127,000 tier 4, 84,000 tier 3, and a lot of them percentage wise, they're not doing well. Most of them are possibly failing.
Yeah, this slide was prepared to show who amongst them are vulnerable. and who are earning very low margins and who would not be able to get through a storm. And you can see there's a very significant portion of them that are extremely vulnerable. 27% of them are extremely vulnerable. And, 46% of them are only moderately profitable. There's only between 24%, this top right-hand segment, that really are making money and which are not, invulnerable. So when you think about an OEM and the number of suppliers they've got and the extent they depend upon suppliers, having 76% of your supply chain in a vulnerable position is a terrible situation.
Yeah.
We only have to ask Jeff Lutz what he would make of this slide.
Tell me about this one. Oh, these are all the things you are thinking that Tesla could decide to partner and say, hey, it's not just the ADAS and software, the sensors. It's not just FSD. It could be all these things. Yeah,
the top three, the ADAS, the battery, the fuel cell, and the electric drivetrain. What this and this particular slide has got steering down at the 23%. I would put that a little bit higher if I were to do that slide again today. So these are the very, very exciting components. This is the cutting edge of the revolution that's going on in vehicles today. And Tesla have this, extreme advance in almost every segment. You can pick a segment, like if you take the body, you think about what they're doing in the Cybertruck, you think about what they're doing in casting, you think about all of this stuff. And when you look at steering, you think about the four-wheel drive. No, it's 23. It's the last green box. When you think about the electronics, when you think about the ADAS, I mean, you can pick almost every one of these green bars, and you can see where Tesla could support, a very significant improvement in advancement for each of these OEMs.
Yeah, but Larry, the last earnings call, they were talking about this, and they said that they laughed and made a joke saying that you can't buy a factory on the factory store. They were kind of saying that you can't just license these things out, and it's not like they can license out a factory. And and then the other argument that people are making is that Tesla's.
Before you get into the other argument, just hold it for a second. Let me just say that what they also said is, look, we will provide not only the formula for how we've done this, but we will also provide open access to our vendors for what they have built for us to our design to provide that capability to these customers. So they are thinking very seriously about becoming, tier 0.5 suppliers to customers, where they not only integrate a solution for the customers, but also provide the suppliers to the customers. The next tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers with that technology.
Okay, I think what you're referring to, though, is the 48 volt, where they said, here's the manual. Please download the PDF.
They didn't limit it to the 48 volt. They gave the 48 volt as an example, and then they provided the actual document.
Yes.
But they didn't limit it just to that document or to that particular technology. Okay. They talked about all of their technology.
All right, interesting. And then the other argument, though, is, what you're saying is that you think that if you piece together the breadcrumbs here, that Tesla, you think, is very likely going to want to partner beyond just FSD. We know he wants to partner with software and FSD, but beyond that. And then the other argument was that Tesla's busy. They've got to build factories for mega factories. They got their own factories. They've got goals of building a Cybercab and Robotaxis, and they need to focus on those factories.
Tesla can walk and chew gum. I mean, they have proven again and again and again, whether it's adding a supercharging network, whether it's adding seat manufacturing, whatever it is. They've proven again and again that they're not limited to doing one thing. they can definitely add this capability. Think about what they've done with the supercharging network, how they've licensed the NACS or open sourced the NACS to the industry. They can do this, and they're very busy. They've got a lot on their plate. There's no doubt about it. But they've shown again and again their ability to add another line of business, add another line of business.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's, this is you're out there talking about this and you think this is going to happen. Is you defend yourself very well. The potential for Tesla then, if this happens, if they start to do this, this is the market size, it looks like, the TAM that's available if you decide to get into the electric drivetrain. I mean, you're right. Tesla did do that years ago, right? Didn't they partner with Mercedes? Yeah. And you're saying, what is this, 100 billion? What would this be?
This is the on the left-hand side of this divide. There's a divide in the center between the bars. Mm-hmm. On the left-hand side is the market size in 2022, 2 years ago.
I see.
And the right-hand side is where the market is going to be in 2027, just 5 years down the road, and it's only 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. So what you're seeing is a massive increase in the scope of the market. The size of the market is not as important as the growth in it. And so you're seeing the reason that I've chosen these items, or that these items at the top, is the potential for growth in each of these areas, and they're massive. So, when you're talking about electric drivetrain or battery fuel cell, ADAS and sensors, you're talking about this gigantic expansion in the marketplace. And these top three are really where Tesla plays. And so it's these top three that Tesla have got, this massive growth and expansion. And it's in the electronics as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Larry. This is great. I always love it because this is something you already did a presentation on a year ago. And then we'll keep coming back to it. We'll see what happens with this. I'm very curious what form these partnerships.
You're going to hold my feet to the fire. It's kind of warm.
No, it's great when somebody actually has an idea, but then you go back and kind of defend it and you have your data to form it. It makes sense. We'll see who's right. But at the end of the day, put it this way, guaranteed at this point that Tesla's going to partner, or somebody's going to partner with Tesla. That's guaranteed at this point.
I think it's
for FSD. Yeah. And then the next thing is, what form will it take a partnership? And this is what you're saying. It could be bigger than most people realize. That's the story. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate it. Follow Larry on his X account, Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.